Hi, Stampers. It's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Sorry, I had to stop that echo over there. Welcome. We're here today to play around with the Oceanfront stamp set. This was a request by someone last week who said they wanted to learn how to use this a little better. And so I kind of looked online and it surprised me how many of the examples all looked the same. And so we're going to do some things a little different. Today we're kind of going the same in that we're using that layout that seems to be on all of our cards and just trying different colors, different techniques. And then Thursday, we're going to do something different. So hang in. It's going to be fun. We're going to take a deep delve into Oceanfront by Stampin' Up. So let me put you down on the desk and we'll take a look at the 3 cards we're doing today. Again, fairly simple. And, when you look at the case, it shows the 3 different stamps, and this is kind of how everybody seems to sandwich them together. We've done the sunset in the back. We've done a beach scene. We've done a meadow scene. And then I did a little bit of watercolor on this one. And so those are the 3 we're doing today. So just to get comfortable in using the stamp set. So we're going to start out with the first one. Oops, I already have my stamps out. Look at that. I was more organized than I thought. So these stamp sets they come in color blocks is the way I like to refer to them, is they're just kind of watercolor washes. And I think I want to clean them off first. They don't look real clean. Sorry about that. There's that one. Some things I was prepared with, some things I wasn't, just keeping it real. Okay, so this one I'm going to start out with Balmy Blue. So we'll pull that one in. That's going to be our top layer for the sky. And this is just kind of a rectangle piece. And I'm just stamping straight down on basic white. Okay, now maybe that's a good thing. I just re-inked this pad, and if you'll notice, it's kind of got some bubbles in it, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the spoon, and I'm going to push down on the pad with the back of my spoon. When you re-ink things, you want to push the ink down into the pad. And I guess it hadn't rested enough before I closed it, which we know flips it upside down and makes everything rest on the top. So let's flip this over and try again. And there we go. I like that a whole lot better. So every once in a while, things kind of play with me. So I can show you new ways to use your stamps or ways to fix little tips and tricks. Okay, so this one time I did the angled one and I did the Balmy Blue again. So now this one, we're going to go to Pool Party. So I'm going to clean off the Balmy Blue. And go ahead and put this one away for now. And Pool Party just has a little more green to it, so we can separate the sky from the okay. It's going to play with me funny, but okay. Separating the sky from the water. Okay, so this one came down a little lower than I had hoped, but if I look at this close, apparently it did that to me last time too. So we're just going to overlap the bottom one, which is this one right here. And we're going to do that in, let's do crumb cake. Kind of wafer in between whether we should do crumb cake or Sahara sand because it's sand. Okay, so now we're just going to lay in some of this brown. And I'm going over it twice just so it's a little darker. That's one of the things with these stamps is you can go over them multiple times and they'll just look like sections of it. And then come with some old olive and we'll do our greenery here. And again, don't be afraid to stamp off of your project and get it on your scrap paper. That gives me different heights with the greenery there. I'm going to come in with, let's see, soft suede. And there's another one. Here it is. Do these little wheat things. Okay, so we've just basically created a beach scene. And it was just by layering up the stamps. Now, obviously, I did my spacing a little better on this one than I did here. I apologize for that, but that's kind of the fun of playing around with it. You get to see how things work. Actually, when I did this one, I started with a much bigger piece of paper and then I cut it down to fit after I did my stamping. So I started out with, okay, this is a regular card base, 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So then this layer here is 5 by 3 3/4, and this is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'd actually started, bigger with them. This one actually being 3 3/4 by 5 because I thought I was going to mat with 4 by 5 1/4. Am I making sense at all? Oh, good. I see someone catching on as Facebook user says, Pam and I are in California. So does that mean that's Jennifer? I'm getting Facebook user at this end. But anyway, that's just, it goes to show how starting out a little bit bigger than you intend always allows you to crop down and make it fit to what you want. But basically, that's all there is to it. We're just going to go ahead and put that one together. See, as I look at this, I think I would take a little bit off the top and then split the difference and take it off the sides so that things were more even. Another thing you can do when you're stamping the sky, if you know you're going to run short, is you can ink just half of it. And so you would only ink this portion and stamp it down. So then this section would actually start up a little higher. And so it would give you more room. You following me? And then, of course, this is just basic layers. So we can go ahead and just put this one together. Okay, so this just shows the wider border out here, the wider border in there. Again, all personal preference. Then, if I wanted to make it more of a sunset kind of thing, so let's bring in this one. So I'm going to make this shorter. You'll notice I only used one of the angled one instead of two. And then I used this one at the bottom. So let's do this one. Oh, and then the deer and the trees are from the Peaceful Deer stamp set. And this stamp set, the Oceanfront, is great because it adapts to anything that you're using. if you wanted to use palm trees, if you wanted to use the herons, if you wanted to use the ships. I mean, basically anything. You can just, these stamps are for creating your background. And you can make it adapt to whatever you want. So because I wanted that sunset in the back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in pumpkin pie and crushed curry. And I'm going to start with my lighter color. Oh, Prize Patrol. If you type in hashtag Prize Patrol, you get put into a drawing. I'm going to spin a wheel at the end of our demonstration. And whoever it lands on is going to be our winner. And I'm going to be mailing them today's card. So that's what Prize Patrol is. And I'm limited to being able to work within the United States. So that's for our US people. Yeah, a Christmas tree could be fun. Okay, so I just inked up half of it with crushed curry and half of it with pumpkin pie. That's going to get me the sunset. I'm going to put the darker color on top. And then I wanted to make a sun in the middle. And so just like last time, I'm going to start where that kind of blob is. I'm going to come in with a little Post-it note. And I'm going to mask off where the green will go. And then I have this little template that I use for making bokeh dots. And that's just a whole different technique I'll show on another day. But I wanted a half of a circle. So I masked off the bottom. And I have this for the top. Then I'm going to bring in a sponge dauber. And I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to darken in where the sun is. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my old olive. And we're going to start the greenery. Okay, now when I first started playing with this, I took this and I went, wait a minute, that doesn't, you know, I thought it would go this way, that little hump would go up into it, but it doesn't. So I'm just going to take and ink it up with the green again, and then I'm just going to take that straight edge and I'm going to look through the stamp and match it up with the straight edge of the other one. And that's going to be my bottom part. Then I've got some little grass pieces. So I'm going to come in with these and just go ahead and add those. And then I wanted something a little darker for those trees in the background. Again, those are out of the Peaceful Deer. Those there. And then for the deer itself, I'm going to come in with a soft suede or a crumb cake and stamp our deer. And then I'm going to color it in with our Stampin' Blends. And this is kind of, it's not watercoloring, but it's the same type of idea in a no-line watercolor, in that you're making the outline match the color that you're coloring with. And so it makes the line disappear, which I like. This is also fun to do if you wanted a silhouette of something. You could come in and ink it all in black, and it would make it a silhouette. So if you wanted to make a sunset and then have, you know, people standing in front of it or animals standing in front of it, you could just color them all in black and they would be silhouettes. So I'm just coloring in with some dark. And then I'm going to come back in with the light. And I'm going to go in little circular swirls over the other one to blend it in, because these are our Stampin' blends. These are alcohol markers. And so they blend while they're still wet. They kind of bleed, I guess I want to say. So they would bleed into one another, and that's what'll make them blend. I do want to point out they will leak all the way through to the back side usually. That's normal. So that's one of the reasons you want to make sure that you have, you know, paper underneath in case it does bleed all the way through. And because I colored him so dark, I'm going to come back in with our light basic black. And I'm just going to give him a little more in his eye and a little bit on his nose. And then once again, we're just layering. Thank you, Gloria, for helping her out. I try to watch the comments, but I find it distracts me sometimes. I end up down a rabbit hole and then I don't make sense. So you guys helping each other out helps out me. Now I'm just doing the fronts of these cards because I'm doing 3. You obviously would want to come back in and do an inside, and then I would just maybe put just the trees or just the little weeds, or maybe on the inside you'd want to use the deer laying down or the bunny rabbit, but you can create kind of a mini scene on the inside of the card and then add any sentiment that you want based on what you're going to be using your card for. So you can see this one blended a little better, and that's going to happen to this after it sits for a while. So that was card number 2. Now for our third one, I'm going to do watercolor, and we're going to use the diorama dies. I went ahead already and I have my card base, you know, my 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. And then I have my layer of balmy blue, and this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then this one wasn't quite the 5 1/4, but that was okay because I just wanted to create the sand for the bottom. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it towards me and down a little bit because I want to expose some of the fibers in there. And by pulling it towards me and down a little, that's how I'm seeing those. So can you see that I've got a little fiber there? Where on the back side, this is, you know, it's uneven at the top, but you don't see as much fiber. And so what I'm going to do now is come in with a sponge, and I chose a sponge instead of the sponge dauber because this gives a more airy, there's more holes in it. It's not quite as dense, and so therefore the ink is not going to be as dense. I had crumb cake out. I know I did. It's here somewhere. There we go. Okay. So this will make more sense when I do this. See how it's giving me the definition there on the edge? I kind of wanted that. And then I'm going to pounce down here. And again, I'm not giving it a whole lot of ink Probably from a distance, you may not even be able to tell. But sand is very fine. So that's the look I was going for on here. And then that's going to glue onto here. And then that's going to go onto here. But I'm going to create the background that we're going to be seeing through this. And that's where I was using our watercolor technique. And you can see that here. And there's two ways of doing that. You can either ink up the stamp and then spray water on it and then stamp onto your paper, or we can spray on the paper and then just stamp onto it. But either way, I'm using our watercolor paper and our mister. If you guys don't have these yet, you want some. They're by Stampin' Up. They come in a set of 2. I think they're like $3. They're very inexpensive, but the mist that comes out of them is super fine. So I don't have anything else within the house that gives such a fine mist. And you can't even really tell how fine this is, but trust me, you want one of these. Okay, and I'm getting both sides wet because one of the things we know when we're messing with paper is that we want whatever we're doing to it, whether we're heating it or we're getting it wet or what, we want it on both sides. That keeps it from warping. It keeps it kind of in a neutral state and that both sides are getting the same treatment. Okay, so now I need the blue again. So balmy blue and our big rectangle. There we go. That's still orange, so let me clean that off. I have my Stampin' Scrub over there. Oops, that's pool party. That's not what I want. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going down onto there. And can you see how that's mixing with the water underneath? Probably not because of that glare, huh? But it is. It's kind of blending with it. And I may have waited too long. And in that case, what I would want to do is add some more water. And I can do that by spritzing some more, or I can use our water painters, either one. But we're just kind of giving it more of a watercolor look. Normally you would have paper towel off to the side, and that's what you would dry this on. I'm going to take a Kleenex and just kind of dab it because I don't have time to really wait for it to dry. Ideally, we would wait for it to dry, or we would heat it with the heat tool. So watercolor takes a little more time. I'm trying to rush it and it's not liking it. Okay, so then our next step is the pool party. I'm going to do that with our partial piece here with the angle. And then I'm going to use that same piece with the brown for the bottom. Now you either like this look or you don't. Watercolor is kind of something people either really like or really don't like because it's a little on the messy side. It's not as exact. When we're used to working with stamps, things are a little more exact. Let's see. So you're getting the idea. Now, if I was to get this too light, I might want to come back in and add a little more over the top. Again, it's one of those things artists do where they just kind of play around with it and they keep adding stuff until they get the look they like. And somebody probably has a better way of doing this than me. Like I said, I'm not the artistic type. I'm crafty. I'm not artistic. But the main idea was I was trying to give you guys different looks and different things that you can try. And I'd love to see somebody do this and come out with something better looking than mine. I think that would be exciting. So I would love it if you would play around with this, come up with something, and come back to my Facebook page and share it with us. Because we're all going to come up with something different. And like I said, I came up with these ideas today, kind of by, browsing online. And I've got more that are coming on Thursday. So this isn't by any means everything you can do with it. It's just some ideas. Okay, so after I've got this all together and I've let it dry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lot of adhesive on the back and then adhere it to the front of my card. And I would basically center it in here. Now, I can't quite add the adhesive yet because it's not dry. I'm going to do this with liquid glue so I have some time to wiggle it around. And the way these matched up exactly was that I ran them through the cutting machine at the same time so that they cut in the same spot. And then using the liquid glue allows me to wiggle it until I get my edges to line up. But then I'm going to put that over the top using dimensionals because I want to give it a little bit of a pop, which is going to mean we're looking into it kind of like a diorama. And then on the outside, I used the dies from I think it's called the Palms dies, but it goes with the Palms Paradise Palms. Yeah, Paradise Palms. And I did the big tree out of green. That's a garden green. And then I did the stem out of soft suede. I'm going to clip off the base of this because I don't want the trunk to be green. I want the trunk to be brown. So we're going to go ahead and put a dimensional on there. And then that's going to get stuck on the front as it is here. And then for the rocks, I stamped them on here and then I cut them out. So this is more watercolor paper. I used basic gray. I got them wet. And then I fussy cut them out to get these. Okay, so that was card number 3. So is this giving you guys a little bit of an idea of what you can do with this stamp set? I know somebody asked for it last week. Are you on this week and is this helping? Okay, good. Okay, so like I said, this is just using the Oceanfront in the basic gist of the way it was supposed to be used. And we made 3 cards in like less than half an hour, and I did lots of talking. So these are quick, easy, and simple. There was minimal die cutting, minimal coloring. I mean, it's a great set for doing things that are quick and easy. Next Thursday, let's see, next week, on Thursday, next time I go live on here, I'm going to be playing around with it some more and using it for color blocking. And so I'm going to use it with some other stamp sets, and we're going to use more of a background effect, not in creating a scene, just in adding watercolor splashes. So I hope that you come back and watch me next Thursday, the 22nd, and find more ideas for this. So has everybody entered hashtag prize patrol? Because I'm ready to spin the wheel. I have my other ideas done, like in my head for what I'm doing on Thursday. I don't have them on paper yet. I apologize, but I will this afternoon. I'll get those cards done. I'll put the preview thing of the live is coming up on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook group, and you guys will see pictures of what we're going to be doing on Thursday. There we go. There's one more. So let us add prize patrol into the stream. And so this is what we were talking about. We've had 10 people enter the hashtag prize patrol. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little word draw, and it's going to spin, and it's going to pick our winner for us. So totally at random. Congratulations, Nancy. You are our winner. So what I would need you to do is type in this web address. It's not a button on my blog. Some people think they're going to go to my blog and find it, because queenbeecreations.net is my blog address. But you want to put in the / and then prize patrol into your address bar, and that's going to give you a Google form that you can fill out to give me your mailing address so that I can mail you the cards we did today as the prize for watching today. So congratulations. Make sure you go over and fill out that form, and I will see you back here at 2:30 Mountain Time on Thursday. Thanks. Bye.